Hey, what's happening? This is your host Tinto, and before we get into this week's episode, I'd like to give a shout out to everybody that got me coffees, starting with you, T. And your comment there reads, I appreciate you and every person who has been brave enough to share their story. Thank you for your contribution, T. The next up I've got at 041973 _ got me 2 coffees, and your comment there reads, just a small token to say thank you, Tinto. Also enjoyed episode 78. I was listening to it today. Hey, thank you so much. Next up I got Miss Ranger, and your comment there reads, love the podcast. 3 generous coffees. Thank you so much for that. Then I've also got Lorraine Pilime. Hey man, you always come through. 10 solid coffees. And your comment there reads, keeping you Tinto, and may the creative juices keep flowing. Man, I appreciate you to the moon and back. Thank you so much. Next up, I got Sue. Thank you for your generous contribution. And your comment there reads, episode 169 may have left us agreeing to disagree, but I guess that's the whole point, right? Thank you for the space to discuss and hear yours and different other feelers' perspectives and their 2 cents. Lots of love for the podcast. Hey, Sue, man, thank you so much. I appreciate you like a lot. Kuchga with Rumbi, man, I still need to meet up with you again next time I'm in, that area of the world. Don't want to say where you are. But 3 generous coffees. Your comment there reads, topping up my subs. Appreciate you, Tinto. I appreciate you. We also need to touch base on what's happening with your food stuff, so I'll give you a call this week. Next up, I got Runya. 3 generous coffees again. And your comment there reads, love you, Tinto, and been a long time listener of the pod. Will continue to do so, but had to come here and say episode 169 left a bitter taste in my mouth. It felt judgmental and felt like it had an element of shaming from you, prescribing selfishness, and that's in dual quotes, and how she should have interacted with her family. I've always liked your impartiality and would have really loved and wished that you had given the same and exercised in this episode, because she's an amazing woman too. Love you always. Well, you know what, Runya? I love you too, and I appreciate that kind of feedback. Always welcome. Hilda, thank you so much for your generous coffees. 6 coffees there, and your comment there reads, thanks for talking to me and for your time. You are welcome. Rati, thank you for your generous contribution as well. And your comment reads, stopped listening to music for a while when I was introduced to your podcast. Wonderfully wholesome. Hey, get in there. Thank you. Someone anonymous gave me a coffee, and the comment there reads, for messaging the mistake about the episode. More to come. I know exactly who you are. Thank you. You gave me a shout out on the episodes that have gone up to YouTube. I appreciate you. And then I've got Teteva Ayan, who got me a coffee. And your comment there reads, I've been a faithful follower from the time that my ex introduced me to this podcast in 2020. And you got 2 laughing emojis. Then you got a bracket to say, don't you even think of getting an episode? Come and tell me what it's about, Teteva Ayan. And then the rest of your comment reads, this podcast was has somewhat become therapeutic, because at least you know you're not the only Delulu one. There's many of us, Takawanda. Please, we are curious to hear Vintage 24's side of the story, and are we allowed to ask questions? Well, guess what? I've managed to get Vintage 24, and Vintage 24 has recorded this episode. It's just up to you feelers to give me 100 copies to drop it. Like, it's literally ready for you guys to listen to. Just do the right thing, I guess. Next up, somebody anonymous got me a coffee, didn't leave a comment. Thank you very much for your generosity. And then another person left 5 coffees, didn't leave a comment again. Another individual left a coffee, didn't leave a comment. It's cool, I appreciate it. Then I've got Low Sibs. Thank you for your generous contribution. And your comment there reads, drop the Vintage 24 episode already. B, oh man, B, I appreciate you like big time. And you bought me 5 generous coffees, and your comment there reads, long overdue coffee for the best poddy host out there. Thanks for sharing these stories and reminding us that we're all human and are looking for love in all what we do. Love and heartbreak teach us something about ourselves, and we get to grow from that. But yo, thanks for the lessons learned and creating a safe space. We want more. FAAFO. Oh man, B, I love you, man. Thank you so much. The next up, I got Tendals, who got me a coffee, and it reads, for the Vintage 24 episode. And then Locked QT, thank you again for your contribution, and your commentary reads, my favorite podcast of all time. I appreciate your Tinto. Don't ever stop doing what you do. Then I've also got, wow, you came back again at 041973. Man, I need to give you a call just to say thank you. Another 2 generous contributions, and your comment there reads, a little appreciation to the pod. I appreciate you so much. Someone anonymous gave me 4 coffees and they said, thanks for all of the laughs. I really wish I knew who these people were. And then last but not least, I got somebody got me a coffee from Mrs. M, and this message reads, loving Gogo Tinto vibes. I feel like I hadn't said these in a long time, and it took me a minute to get through those. But as you know, I'm being really ambitious. I'm aiming for 4,000 coffees by the end of the year. Last time I gave an update, I'd received 212. We're now at 265. And that includes some that are pressuring me to release the Vintage 24 episode. As far as Vintage 24 episode goes, give me a total of 100 coffees. It's yours, so it's entirely up to you feelers to do the right thing if and when you want to. And then the journey to 4,000 continues. If you want to support the podcast in a similar way, please head over to www.buymeacoffee.com/feeling station and give as your spirit leads. Remember, there is nothing too small to support the podcast that you've grown to love. Phew. With that out of the way, let's get straight into this crazy new episode. Here we go.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, what's happening?
I'm good.
You sound like you're just settling down.
I am. I was actually starting to fall asleep.
Oh, were you? we could have done this earlier.
I know, right? It's quite cold.
Oh, okay.
It's quite cold outside, and it being a Sunday.
Yeah. Sunday is meant to be the chill down, wind down day before the hectic week, right?
Yeah.
But at this moment, mine is feeling hectic. and I couldn't even tell you why. But I'm hoping that by the time we really start this episode, I'm going to be settled. So welcome to the Feeling Station.
It's good to be here after a long time, eh?
Oh, yeah. For those listening to the podcast for the first time, it's a romantic family and friendship breakup podcast showcasing stories that people would like to talk about with a view to give lessons from their experiences. And I hope you find today's story entertaining, but more importantly, meaningful. Now, the podcast is popular for 2 main reasons, as you know. The first being I try and do my best to keep you anonymous. So I'm going to give you a name as usual from the African continent. And this time I've gone over to East Africa and I'm giving you a name from Somalia. Yeah. And your name is and your name is Idil, which is IDIL.
EDL.
Yeah, Idil, yeah. And what that means is perfect. Perfect timing for us to do this episode. And what are you calling the name of the person you're going to talk about today?
So I actually really thought long and hard about the name. And honestly, I couldn't come with any name. So I thought maybe for the purposes of this episode, probably just to call him Mugai, because I can safely refer to him as just Mugai.
Mugai.
Yeah.
Which just means dude,
Mugai.
Just dude, just a fella.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So this is an episode about Idil and Mugai. And the second reason why the podcast is popular is there real life lessons that people are going to learn from the story you're going to share today. So what do you have for me in terms of lessons and for those listening to this episode?
So again, in no particular order, I'll start with the first one. It says, how he allows his friends to treat him will impact how he treats you. That is to say, he's just as good as he was raised. Some people born out of trauma only know how to live as such.
Ooh, amen to that. Because the temptation is for people to start asking themselves, what is wrong with me? And that you are nowhere near the problem. Right? It precedes you by generations, possibly.
Very true.
Nice.
Very true.
You got a second lesson?
Then the second one is quite a lot, hey? Be consciously.
What the hell did Mugai do to you?
A lot. All
right, number 2.
Be consciously aware of your boundaries. What you can and can't compromise on. Define your irks versus your fundamentals. And do not compromise on your deal breakers because that will breed cycles of repeated apologies and pain.
God damn. Are you a psychotherapist or something? Because, hey, the depth in these so far.
I think in my previous life, I was a psychologist.
I like that a lot. All right. Number 3.
Number 3, he calls his ex crazy. You know, guys have a tendency of doing that. Well, not guys, Jay, just generally any
Better be careful how you tread this one because I'm a guy, yeah. and I'm trying to
You'll
think if
take
I've
one for
called
your team.
and I'm trying to think if I've called any of my exes crazy. Yeah, I'm not sure.
So, yeah. So if he calls his ex crazy, you're about to be the next crazy.
Hey, man.
So this speaks to be with somebody who's ready to be with you, not somebody who's trying to prove something to an ex.
Oh my days. Yes, I feel that.
And then the next one is listen to your instincts. That's God trying to protect you. The flags only get redder.
Oh yeah.
So the red flags, they only get redder. Don't be colorblind. Don't see them as green, orangish, and then, you know.
So, somebody said I saw the flags and I thought they were a circus. I'm like, it's not a circus, my guy. It's danger. It's real danger.
Real danger, yes. Then we're on number 4, I guess.
You're going on to number 5.
Number 5.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah,
That's cool.
Number 5. Find one that complements you, not the one that completes you.
What? Now that is too deep for me. I'm gonna expand on that a little bit.
I will explain.
Yeah.
So basically, what I'm saying is, you know, find somebody who's ready to be a partner to you, and not necessarily trying to make you whole. So get into a relationship when already you're confident and comfortable with self.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, that's deep. That's really deep.
Then number 6, when you leave, don't turn back. Run. And my run is in capital letters, guys, because you've got to run and not look back at all.
Yeah.
As far away as possible. Nothing beats your peace and mental health.
Amen to that.
Then the last one is, it's not all roses, just as it is not all bad. When it's over, be at peace with how events did turn out and don't speak ill of your ex. The reason being, you just weren't for him as he wasn't for you. Healing begins when you accept it happened.
You know, I really like the last 3 words, which says, accept it happened.
Yeah.
Because from a lot of the literature that I've read, the healing process does not actually begin until there's acceptance.
Sure.
So you can have years and years and years and years of denial and anger, but until you actually accept that this happened, and not just happened, but happened to me, and you come to terms with it, and then I guess the bigger part of that is you identify what part you had to play, and then accept what you had to contribute as well.
Yeah.
That is when real healing begins. So I really resonate with that. Because healing does begin when you accept that it happened. Man, you see, I'd love to play these back, but given how far we've already gone in, they are so wholesome. I'm ready to get this episode going.
Yeah.
So, Idil, tell me, where did you meet Mugai and why did you decide this is the guy for me?
You know what? It's I think it's really important, like you're rightfully saying, to get back into how we met, because that is how exactly it kickstarts the whole journey of us being together. By the way, this is 3 years ago. And I'm still talking about it as if it's fresh, and I hope this is the last time I get to talk about it.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. So we met through a mutual person, right? And funny enough, this person, I knew them from an ex, in quotes.
You knew this person from an ex, in quotes. Why in quotes?
The mutual person, because you know how people identify an ex as it's somebody probably you had a longer relationship with, and they also probably intimate and etc. No, it wasn't that. We went on a couple of dates, but enough to know his friends.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Stay with me, because it'll get a bit complex here and there.
Okay.
But stay with me. So this mutual person, right, after I left that guy that I used to talk to, went on a couple of dates with, later on the side of Mogai, right, he wasn't as friends as such. They were just acquaintances, right? But he knew Mogai had just come out of a very bad relationship, the crazy ex, if you guys remember that point. about the crazy ex.
Mm-hmm.
So he'd just come out of a crazy relationship of some sort that blew off on the internet.
On
Right?
the internet, you know.
Yeah, on the internet. No, not getting into any specifics.
Yeah. I mean, but do me
Yeah.
something on the side, yeah. When we finish recording, just send me the link in it, because I wanna.
I will.
I want to get the gist of this one. Love of
Anyway,
Nyas, yeah.
So anyway, with this mutual person, so I think they had the chat on their side. Hey, this is me talking about it because now I know what really happened.
Yeah.
At the time, I didn't know. So they talked about, so he was like, I'm over relationships, girls are just doing this and that, I don't want to get into this anymore. No. And then this guy's like, wait, I know for a girl who my friend didn't like, they didn't quite connect, but I think she's a good girl. So maybe you guys could try and, meet up and see if it works for you. Right. So on my end, because I didn't know then that is exactly what happened, he calls me, right? Randomly, this is a new number, and I won't say I don't take new numbers, guys. I'm very curious. I'm gonna take it. Please, I hope nobody tries to kidnap me one day. Also, is it kidnapping when you're an adult? So anyway, when he calls, right, I think it was during COVID, maybe late 2019, early 2020, I don't remember, but I remember we were hitting COVID then. So when he calls me, already I'm bored and, we're all stressed out about what's happening, what's going to happen if there's COVID, like real COVID. So when he calls me, I'm like, yeah, what's I post this? Then he says his name, says, hey, it's more guy, Nton. I'm like, from where? Naturally. He's like, oh, we met at this club. Right. So when he says the name of that club, it's quite unbelievable because the people that I used to hang out with in that club. So previously, me and my relationships have never been. I've never been one to have like steadfast relationships where I'm really relating to this person for a longer time. A story for another day. But I think whenever I went to that club and the people that I hung out with, I usually had a bouncer assigned to me to walk me wherever I would go to apart from the booth.
Bruh.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So which means there was never at any point that I was able to give out my number. Right? Because this person is getting paid, guys. So, so obviously when he said that, I was like, nah, that's not true. But because I got curious, I was like, yeah, is it? I don't remember. But maybe we should meet up, and maybe if I see your face, I'll remember, like I'll know. And then he's like, yeah, sure. So for our first meetup, so what happened is, how people go through the talking stage and then dating stage. For us, it was just a crush program. He's like, okay, on one particular Saturday, he's like, I'll come see you. I'm like, okay, cool. He comes to see me on a Saturday. Mind you, where I'm staying at the moment, I am quite flexible. I can leave and come back at any time or not come back at all. Right. So when he comes by, he then says, do you have friends that you'd want to hang out with? That's a red flag on its own because first day, I think it's important for us as two people who are meeting for the first time to just have a chat together, just the two of us so that we understand each other outside of everyone else.
Right.
So he says, no, I've got some friends that are throwing out a party and I don't want you to feel, a bit overwhelmed. So just have, a tribe that you're comfortable with. I was like, yeah, makes sense. Yeah. So at the time, I never really, I didn't have friends. We have people we label as friends, but are not really friends.
Yeah.
Just because we've got, certain common ground. So I had people that I worked with at the time, and I said, hey, what are you doing? Like, it's a Saturday. They're like, no, we chilled. So I'm like, okay, cool. Just get ready. Me and this guy coming to pick you up. So I text them, I'm like, I just met the guy. So, act cool. They're like, okay, cool. But here's the catch. He was a big spender, He was like a big spender. He wants to make sure your friends are comfortable so much that your friends start pressurizing you into making sure that relationship cements, right? So, in terms of booze, buying alcohol, he's like, what do you guys want to drink? Like separately, individually, what do you want? And everyone's a rider. I call it a rider. But everyone's bill is catered for separately, and, for friends and quotes, it's a big thing. So they're like, this is really a good guy. Like this is your type.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay. So we get to the party. Fast forward, we get to the party, and then the part that I want to highlight on the crush program is, he then gets asked by one of his friends who says, "Hey, so introduce me to the ladies," and he's like, "Oh, this is I've forgotten the name, Idiom." But he then say, instead of just saying this is Idiom full stop, he says, "This is Idiom, my girlfriend."
Mm-hmm. Idyll, yeah.
And this is our first meetup. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And for me, I think there and then, now that I know better, I should have said, maybe not in front of his friends, probably, just the two of us, to say, can we hold off a bit on the whole girlfriend thing? Because I need to know you. But I went along with it. I
Mm-hmm.
started calling him babe.
Right there.
So as the night progresses, me and him are actually dating.
Just like that.
Just like that. Just like that.
Yeah, nah.
Yeah. So, I mean, to you and the viewers, of course, or the listeners rather, there's no point at any point that I'm going to specifically say, oh, that lesson matches to the scenario. You guys have to do the math. But it will add, hey, it will add. So I think that's the highlight about how we met. So we just, it's, when you're taking a shower and it's a cold shower, you're trying to jump in, calculating whether it's the too cold. No, we didn't do that. We just closed our eyes and jumped.
And went straight in.
Yeah. So I never had time to know this guy, like, from a personal, individual capacity. Right. And his friends already gave me vibes where they are comfortable bringing in girlfriends in jail. Like, not their proper actual girlfriends, but any other girl every other weekend. That's a vibe I got from.
Okay, and at what point did you get this vibe? When you and Mugad
that particular night?
Just one night.
Just one night. There was a lot going on.
Mad.
There was a lot going on. But in my mind already, because there's pressure coming from those friends of mine, in quotes, I didn't think it through. Do you get me? And he had a good choice of words. He was quite charming. But how he got charming is he sat me down that night. So like I said, that night had a lot going on. He sat me down and said, what do you look for in a man? And as women, we have that list. So I started saying, oh, I want this, I want that. I want a man who does this and that and that and that. He's like, no, I've got you. So the next 2 months, this guy, Mugai, is exactly what I look for in a man. All of the good stuff. I'm a happy woman. When you're happy, your skin is glowing. All that fat, that bad fat you don't want is off. You really feel good about yourself. So I was so happy. Random dates, he'll just come by and say, oh, just get dressed up. You want to go this and that and that. So in hindsight, the insecurities from his previous relationship, where he had his, in quotes, crazy ex, started creeping in slowly.
Okay.
Yeah. So what would happen is we'll have probably like a one-on-one chat, and he'll be like, oh, let's go through your phone. Right? And I'll be like, yeah, sure. He goes through my phone. He says, you're talking to X, you're talking to Y, you're talking to Z. These people add no particular value into your life. You need to let go of them. At that point in my life, I thought it was coming from a good space. I thought he's trying to build me. He's trying to make sure, I'm this focused young woman, really complimenting him. Do you get me? So
I get you, and I really don't want to interject too much because the story sounds really good already. and I know how you gave a disclaimer to say at that point in your life, and good, because this is a retrospective, conversation, right? But also looking in hindsight, birds have fed the flock together. So whatever connections you've made, whatever friends you have, whatever people you're messaging, you're continuously messaging because they're adding some form of value.
Yeah.
So who was he to tell you who was adding value and who wasn't adding value? And
so now you and I having this chat, I agree. But then I didn't see that
at all.
At all.
Mud. Okay.
So I cut off those people. every friend I thought I had, acquaintances, I was like, yeah, sure, this doesn't add any value. This doesn't add any value. But to him, this was him controlling me now.
Mm-hmm.
So we go through my phone until we've cleared probably like 3/4 of the people that I used to chat with. And this was to create grounds for if I want to go on a date, if I want to go out, if I want to do this, it's always with him.
Mm-hmm.
So he became my go-to for every single thing, so much that I couldn't breathe. It was just him or no one else. Then anyway, fast forwarding, we do have, and it's a lot going on in the story, guys. So at any point, if you feel like I am, I'm going from A to Z and going back to A, please do let me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he had his own house, right? But at that point, he had never taken me to his actual house. He had taken me to a loft.
You take me to
I'll call it a loft. It was an apartment, but it was an apartment where he and his friends used to pay rentals for just so that they could hang out. So I'll just call it a boys' loft. Ne? So they were paying rentals towards that apartment, right? And, Saturday, Sundays, they'll just, host parties and etc. or whatever. But, they had some certain personal belongings there. It was fully furnished by them.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Mm.
So that's just where he had been taking me. So for the first time that we went there, so I'm not getting into the cheating beats of it, the red flags.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is the first cheating escapade that I want to narrate, and I'm going to try and be quick about it. So anyways, when that apartment, remember there's that ex of mine that I'd put in quotes, right? Where I said, we had a mutual person.
Yes.
So I didn't know he was one of the friends.
Right.
That was paying towards that apartment.
Mm-hmm.
So that particular day, we went to hang out there. That ex of mine was there.
Mm-hmm.
So me and my guy had never had a chat about that ex because at the time I didn't know that's how he got to know me.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So again, I take those friends from work. I'm like, let's hang out again. Right. We dress up, we look cute and whatever, we get there. Right. When we get there, the ex looks at me like, what are you doing here? I'm like, what are you doing here? He's like, oh, I'm friends with. And I'm like, oh, he's my boyfriend. He's like, wait, no. I know I wasn't right, but this is bad. And then when he says that, I'm like, side eye, like, who are you to tell me what's bad and what's not bad?
Bombastic side eye.
Exactly.
Like, who are you to be telling me that?
I'm like, you're just jealous that I found a better person than you, So I then quickly go and tell my guy, I'm like, hey, so I know this person, Ton, and I didn't want to get into the details too deep. So I say he's an ex, and I just end there, right? So because this person is insecure, he's like, an ex. So y'all's child, ne? Y'all's were intimate at some point. So I'm literally having leftovers of some other nigga.
Hey, bana.
So his mood all of a sudden changes. Yeah. But anyway, we proceed to have the party. So my friends had to go somewhere else, so they left earlier, right? And the ex now didn't have anyone to hang out with. So it was just the three of us. So he says, let me go out and get some girls that can come in. I was like, how do you think? So when he comes back, he's got two girls with him. One is light, one is dark, right? Because I've been here since morning, clearly I'm now part of the hosting team. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, what are you drinking? And I know my guy is this big spandaka. So I'm like, this girl should also have a good time, right? I'm like, so what are you guys having? We're having Hennessy. So what do you like? They're like, we want, what's it called? Strawberry leaves and that. I'm like, babe, when you're going out to do whatever you're doing, please do make sure to bring this and that so that the girls can be comfortable, Cool. The ex of mine doesn't drink alcohol, mind you. So at all. He's actually Islamic and very religious. Well, not really, since he's bringing other women. He's not really religious, but we're So, in every instance, when our subconscious starts hitting in, when we're getting drunk or lit rather, he still knows what's happening consciously, right? So I'm chilling with these girls, we're dancing, and we're having a good time. So this is the first time that I noted, and this is like a month into the relationship. We're taking it slow, but like I said, it's a crash program at the same time because already we're dating. I hadn't known that my boyfriend at the time, him leaving at random times, was him going to get cocaine.
Rah.
Yeah. So because you just leave Jay and say, "Oh, I'm going to get this. Oh, it's a business deal," and I never really bothered to ask. It's funny. There are a lot of people doing coke in am I supposed? Is it okay to say the country?
Yeah,
Is it okay to say that?
It's up to you. Yeah.
It's surprisingly, it's quite alarming the amount of people doing cocaine in Zimbabwe. There's a lot of drug use apparently, and mind you, in my house where I grew up, there's never been anyone to use weed the least. So I don't know what to expect from somebody taking any form of substance, right? So I always thought this was his natural form and behavior every time that he had his episodes. Yeah. He would get a bit, there would be different episodes. Sometimes it's affectionate, sometimes it's a bit angry, sometimes it's very cautioning.
Right.
But I thought it was himself. Yeah. So when he comes back, he's a bit lit, more lit than everyone else, and I'm like, okay, cool, it's vibes. So already, I'm naturally a very light and stupid drunk. Like after 3 glasses of wine, I want to go to bed. So already I'm like, So he comes back with the strawberry leaves and whatever for these girls, and then says, I need to go back out again. I don't bother asking because me and the girls were having a good time. But in having a good time, when I'm drunk, if you ask me anything, I'll tell you.
You're my kind of people.
Please don't offer me alcohol. If you told me any secrets, don't offer me alcohol because I will tell everybody about it if they ask. So I think these girls were sensing that there's some sort of connection with X, ne? So they said, "Hey, babe, have you ever like hung out with X? Since I'm with X, this is the light girls asking me. I don't remember what I told her, but I probably told her the truth to say no. We did go out on a couple of dates, tried to actually be in a relationship, but because of 1, 2, 3, 4, it couldn't stand.
Yeah,
right. So this house, the only other person who knows the beats and abouts of it is X, ne? So X is chilling on the couch. I'm like, I need to go to bed. Like, I think I've reached my limit. Could you please accompany me to bed since my man is not around, right? So he takes me to bed. Respectfully, as a woman, when you wake up the next morning, this is 18 plus, right? I can say certain things.
Yeah.
Okay. When you wake up the next morning, you can actually tell if you had sex or not. Right. Well, I can. I can.
Right.
So, with my body type is how do I put it without sounding a bit off? How I get lubricated is I'm not a medical doctor in any way, guys. So if I start saying this is my body, this is how I understand my body. So when I'm lubricated, right, it's to a certain point, and if I'm not responsive consciously, it's gonna get a bit rough.
Right.
Yeah. So chances are, if it happened that way, I'm going to wake up and feel sore.
I see. Basically,
Exactly.
But basically, in a less politically correct way, you're saying knowing your body and how wet you get. If you're not stimulated consciously in a way that you're feeling, you will know that you're not as wet as you would normally be. In fact, I think you're closer to being dry than you're wet. And if there's any form of penetration, because of the lack of the wetness, you're going to feel it because the friction actually becomes painful and the pain continues into the next day. Is that what you're basically saying?
Exactly.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I barely will have sex when I'm drunk.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't work. I have to be conscious for that to happen.
Yes.
So, and also remember, I know this guy. I know his religious, alignment and whatever, and he wouldn't do that,
Apparently.
So I get up in the morning, yeah, and I'm like, okay, go. Good, I'm good. But I don't see my man around. I don't see my guy anyway, right? I get to the kitchen, I see X. I'm like, so where is he? He's like, oh, he didn't come back last night.
Oh.
I'm like, really? Really? I wonder, And then the girls, he's like, oh, they left earlier, around 1-ish. No. Cool. So when my guy comes back, I don't bother to ask because I don't want to ruin a good day, He seems to be in a happy mood the next morning. So I was like, maybe it's business. It's business. Right. So in the weeks to follow, this goes about. In the weeks to follow, I get a chat from him. He says, "You're so pathetic and disrespectful."
Mm.
I'm like, "What do you mean? Where's this coming from?" He's like, "Why would you sleep with X? I've got videos." Right. I'm like,
Mm-mm.
wait. And there's the syndrome where you're not sure of what's real and what's not real. So I was thinking maybe my conscience is betraying me. Maybe I don't remember what actually happened. You know? So already
Mm-mm.
I'm worried and I'm trying to find sympathy with him to say maybe, he took advantage. But I swear I didn't feel like anything happened. Are you
Mm.
serious? Are you certain? Can you please share the video? He's like, "I'm not sharing the video. Ton. He's getting a bit, rough with the context. And,
Mm.
I'm like, what's going on? So I then ask him, Kuti, you weren't there. You actually came back the next morning. How do
Mm.
you have the video?
Mm.
He's like, "Oh, that doesn't matter." So I keep on pressing, and, it's shut down. We're not talking for about 2-3 days. Right. Then on a Thursday, oh no, wait, on a Friday after I clock off work, he's like, "Can I see you?" He's a bit sincere now. He calls, he's like, "I'm so sorry for overreacting and not talking to you for the last 2 days. I was misinformed. Apparently nothing happened and I believe you." I was like, wait, you just don't go from accusing me of something and then you've got evidence, and the next thing you don't want to share the evidence, and the
Yeah.
next thing you're sorry.
Yeah.
What's happening? What am I missing?
Mm-hmm.
So he sits me down and he says, "Oh, do you remember that light girl from that night? Apparently she's the one who said she had a video,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And she asked me to see her so that she could give me the video. But you know what? I never got anything. She was lying." And so I didn't press. I was like, wild, because again, that's a red flag. You can't just take anyone's word for it and not trust the person that you're actually relating to.
Mm.
Right.
Mm.
So he's like, "Babe, let's make up. You know what?" So we go to that loft again, right? We're back at the loft, right?
Mm.
So I see X again, and then X is like, "Dude, what are you still doing with this guy? Clearly, you've got no business sticking around. He's shown you too many times so far that he's not the one to, he's not worth suffering for. What is wrong with you?"
Mm.
And I'm like, just we're having our own problems. I don't have time for you. So he leaves the loft, right? And then I'm chilling on the couch. My man says he's tired. He needs to go to bed early at 6 o'clock, 6
Mm.
p.m.
Mm.
So he goes to bed. And now, that particular apartment has got this function where you can dim the lights or brighten them up in the lounging area, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm chilled by the couch. I'm watching whatever I'm watching, and I'm actually half sleeping, half dozing off. Sorry.
Mm.
And then the next thing that I hear is the doors opening like so rough.
Mm.
The sliding doors is like pushed, and then they're like, "Oh, where's the hole? Where's the hole? We need to see the hole." There's chaos all of a sudden. Already because I was up,
What? Mm.
was almost dozing off.
Mm.
I'm sort of startled me, so I just get up, and my instincts are run.
Mm.
Take my left shoe, I take my right shoe, I run out of that apartment. So when
Mm.
they're getting in through the sofas at that way, I go behind them and
Mm.
run out of the apartment. But these are garden flats and they gated me.
Mm.
So I can only run as far as the gate. So
Mm.
when I get there, I look at the guard. He's like, "What's happening?" I'm like, "Open the gate, open the gate." And then those girls are like, "Babe, if you keep on running, we're going to fight you." Now I'm
Mm-mm.
thinking about my professional career, and I'm like, if this is to go on the internet, it is going to be catastrophic. It's going to ruin me. So you know what? Let me at least have the decency of conversation with those girls and understand what's happening. Because mind you, because when they got in, the lights are dim, I didn't recognize who it is.
Mm.
My instincts would just run. Like, you know what? I'm not staying to understand what's happening. I will run away. So we pull back into the apartment, and now the lights are very much bright. I can see who's who and who. I see those two girls from last week, and then another girl who's light and quite I don't know, is big politically correct. I don't know. But she's quite, her body
Mm.
size is quite small.
Mm.
So I was like, so in my head, when I'm editing the math, I'm like, oh, Mugai lied to me that he doesn't have a wife, or rather didn't forgot to disclose that information.
Hey,
Goodness me.
bana.
So this is
Mm.
the wife and I'm about to be bit up and I don't have.
Mm.
You get me? Like I'm never a fighter. I don't get physical. But now I'm thinking if I had somebody, even somebody who doesn't fight, I could try and, maybe get in a slip or something, But now I'm literally outnumbered and this is going to be really bad. So let me be calm and understand what's going on. So this girl then says, so I'm thinking, these girls that I chilled with last week, were pretending to be nice with me, and then they went on to find the actual wife, and then told her, this is in my head. But this girl, the slight new girl that I'm seeing for the first time, then says, "Oh hi, my name is Chon Chon, and I am these two. I'm a sister to those two." I'm like, okay, you're a sister. Oh, it's a wife still, regardless, your sister. Damn. And this is like, no, apparently, the light girl, you're dating her boyfriend. I'm like, wait up, hold up. What do you mean I'm dating her boyfriend? Babe, we were chilling together last week. And when we were chilling together last week, you said your boyfriend is X. So how is Mogai your boyfriend? Please balance it. What is going on? Get me to speed. And then she's like, oh, and she's streetwise. Hey, she had her hair color changed. She's very streetwise. And then she's like, so last week, me and your boyfriend did hang out, and he told me everything about you. Mind you, there are things that you start to sort of disclose to your partner. You're telling them about your secrets, your personal life story, family, and whatever. More guy had a pillow talk moment, told this girl about those things, and it's crazy when those things are accurate. It's quite shackling. It's traumatizing. It's, oh my god, thank God I didn't tell you that much. I'm like, okay, so you were with this guy last week, and then what? Then she's like, oh, so we got intimate, and he did advise that he's going to break up with you this week, and I'm surprised you're still here. I'm like, what? Because I'm not streetwise. Like, I'm not about the streets. This was just an entanglement with a street guy, but I didn't know how it works in the streets and whatever. So I'm confused. I'm like, so you're waiting on us to break up so that you get into this whole thing. How am I involved? How do I become a hoe? Because you called me a hoe when you guys got in.
Yeah.
So this girl who came to, sort of like be the muscle to this whole situation is now confused. It's just as confused as I am. She's like, but girl, you didn't tell me that this is actually her boyfriend currently, and you're trying to come in over a promise that they're going to break up, right? So now Mogaika was sleeping. So he has to be woken up. And then now he's pretending to not even see it all. He's like, what's happening? Why are you guys making a lot of noise? Who's who? So he has got a mukaba, like a mukaba, like, yeah. Anyway, he comes out, and then instead of addressing the whole situation, he's busy saying, can I have that t-shirt? And then ton. He gets the t-shirt and then says, to address this whole situation, let me talk to one of the girls. So he talks to the darker one who I was with last week again, right? And then the lighter one is poking me in the head, right? She wants a fight. And I'm like, I'm not giving you a fight. Clearly, like I said, I don't fight. And number two, I don't see a reason why I'm fighting you. The problem here is Mogai.
Yeah.
So let's see what he has to say.
Yeah.
So Mogai goes out with that girl. I think for a couple of seconds, they come back. Then Mogai says to the girl, do tell everyone what I said. The girl's like, oh, sorry. He says, I continuously forgot. I'm forgetting my name. Is it Idiom?
Ideal, IDIL.
Ideal. Okay. Then he says, no, me and Ideal are still continuing in this relationship. She's the one that I do love, and you were just a mistake. He was so disrespectful about it, right? But you'd think, in my five senses, in my normal cuckoos, I would have said, I'm also out. Like you say she's not, I'm also out. But I said, well, okay, I'm going to stay in this relationship because you know what? He chose me.
Yeah.
He didn't go through with the street madness. He chose me. So I said, I'm not going to let go of a man over somebody who was just random in a one-night stand. Men make mistakes. I'll forgive mine. And I forgave him, right? So it got chaotic, obviously. That night, the girl was throwing things whenever. I wasn't part of that. I went in the bathroom, locked myself until these guys were done with their fiasco, came back, tried to talk to Mogai, and Mogai says, it's been a very long night. I don't want to talk about this, ever. So he cheated on me, disrespected me. In hindsight, he tried to respect me by saying, "Oh, I chose you," and then doesn't want to talk about it. So it was pain that now stuck up in me, and I
Yeah.
couldn't let it out to anyone.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Did talk to my sisters about it, and obviously, as sisters, they're telling you to leave this guy. He's bad news, and because now people are telling me to leave this guy and there's bad news, I'm like, you don't understand. I came with the whole "you don't understand." Obviously, at this point, we've been vulnerable with each other. I know sort of things that most people don't know about. Well, I assumed they didn't know, and he knows things about me that most people don't know. So already, I'm like, because we have had such a vulnerable moment, this is the person that I'm supposed to hold on to. So everyone else who says anything else, you're out. I was blocking my sisters. If anyone says, I just wanted people to tell me that it's okay. Men do cheat, just stay. Right. And generally, cheating is not a deal breaker for me, guys. Just so that for context, it's not a deal breaker. It's the context of how you cheat. It's how I find out that is a deal breaker to me.
The how, not the
People,
what.
yeah, the how, not the what. Cheating, people are always going to cheat. People cheat. I'm not saying I cheat, but anyways, whether I do or not. But I'm just saying it's there's a lot of respect when somebody tries to make sure you never find out. Right. Anyway, that was the first cheating escapade, and I still stayed in that relationship. Then the next one, I think I'm a bit slow. Let me try and speed this up. The next one is we went to see more guys. This is like probably 5 months into the relationship. Like, things are getting a bit tricky here and there, but then we're still good. And I don't know about him taking cocaine. He says he's getting rehab. I'm believing it, and I'm not telling anyone from my family side because it's embarrassing me. So I just continue. I'm thinking I didn't flip. I didn't even think through to say, are you booked in with any rehab, facility or anything? He says he's working on it. I'm like, you're working on it. That's good. Just don't take your cocaine in my face. Do you get me? So yeah. The second escapade was we went to see his grandmother, I think in Rusape. We come back. There was so much love that particular day. I remember the emotion. I felt so deep in love that particular day. We were so good together, right? So we drive all the way back in our lovey-dovey, mood. We go to this place, guys. There's a beautiful place in some Arua called Leisure Center. So we went there to have sada. There were not a lot of people there, so it was quite private. We're having a good time. We're having our Hennessy as per usual. He takes way too many and gets drunk too quick. So we have to drive back to his house. Now at this point in time, I now know about his actual house. Right? We're no longer hanging out at the loft. I'm that girl. I'm really in his circle. Like we're together now. Do you get me? We're no longer doing the loft business. I actually cancel it out. He stops paying rent towards that loft because I say, what are you doing when you're with me and you're paying for a loft where you guys hang out with other different girls? Yeah. Yeah. So we start going to his house. So I drop him off at his house. Then he says, I want some wings. I want something hot. People when they're drunk, they want to have hot, spicy stuff. I'm like, okay, cool. Let me go get it. So in our lovey-dovey moment, he was using an Ultra Samsung, I guess, at the time. And you have to put in a fingerprint and you can add different fingerprints. So he says, I'm tired of hiding things from you. So maybe let me add you as a fingerprint so that you don't feel like you can't have access to my phone. I'm like, yeah, sure. So now his phone is ringing nonstop. There's a deal. There's a money deal that is going through his phone. And I know that in his drunk state, when he's sober and finds out that I didn't collect that money, it's going to be a problem. So because I've collected this money before, I'm like, no problem. Let me go and collect that money regardless. So I take his phone. I take my phone. I take the car that we're using. The other car that he has, I take the car keys and take them with me. Right. So that he doesn't try to, because he's drunk, I don't want him to try and follow me and whatever. Because I knew he's going to get conscious at some point that I left with his phone. So I go to collect that money, good vibes. And then I pass by Chicken Inn to get the wings. When I get there, because I've got money in the car, I don't take too long to wait for the order. I'm like, since they say 10 minutes, I'll go back in to check on the wings after 10 minutes. Let me sit in the car just to sort of safeguard the money. So I'm sitting in the car and I'm like, let me just go through one chat. Just one chat.
Why? But why did you feel the need to do that?
So it was, I have the phone, right? it's you just get this hunch where you're like, let me just pry a little bit, just like I wasn't
for
anything.
in why
Guys, another
why
lesson contextually: never go through people's phones if you don't want to have heart problems. For
okay.
your mental health, don't go through people's phones. So I was debating with myself. I was like, it's like, prying over his privacy. Do I go through his phone? Do I not? And I was like, okay, just one chat. I'm going to just open one chat and then that's it. Goodness, what I saw in that phone was a lot.
What did you see?
It was a lot. Audios, he had payments he hadn't made towards a threesome that they had. There was a lot. And already now I'm thinking about my health. Mind you, we're intimate, and obviously at this point we're not using protection. People should use protection regardless of the time you guys have been together, guys. But anyway, on a more practical and realistic sense, we're not anymore. So now I'm thinking about my health, and there are a lot of women, a lot of sex in this phone. Too much of it. Their videos, their chats, So the whole wing issue, I forgot. I never even collected that order. I didn't go back in. I'm going through the phone now. I'm taking screenshots. I'm sending certain chats to my phone, and then he starts calling me with his brother starts calling me on his phone, and then I don't pick up. The brother starts texting me to say, come back. He just got up and realized you went out with his phone, right? I just come by his house just to check up on him, and apparently he's getting haywire. I don't pick up. I don't respond. I am recording evidence so that he doesn't deny. And I'm forwarding it to my sister, right? My sister is asking, what is all this? Where are you getting this? What is happening? Where are you? Do I come? I'm like, dude, wait. So I'm going through, it's going through someone's phone and realizing they're not only cheating on you with one person, it's a whole lot of people. And these people actually know you exist. It's... how do I explain? The pain is nerve-wracking. You shut down.
It's a lot.
Shut down mentally, emotionally. You shut down, right? I just drove. If anything, I didn't care whether I run into another car, whether I die or not. I just didn't care in that moment. But anyway, safely, God willingly, I got to his house. So at his house, there was a roundabout you needed to go past by before you got to the house. So he's in the driveway, sort of, and he's standing with a brother. In my head, in that particular moment, I just wanted to run him over. Not to kill him, but I hope this won't be taken as attempted murder in future. I hope not. So I was like, I don't want to kill him, but I just want him to, mess up. I just want to mess up a leg of his so that in future, whenever he has to tell a story why he has to walk with a limp, he says, oh, there's this girl that I dated at some point.
Right, yeah.
So I'm accelerating, but quickly something just got into me and said, stop it. Don't do it. He's not worth it. Get in, park the car, and have a chat. Talk to him, understand. This is the part where it gets stupid for me. I'm not saying running over was a better idea, but me always wanting to understand people's sides cost me a lot. Because I'm quite understanding here, sometimes to my own
detriment, yeah.
Exactly. So I then park the car, and then the first thing I do is I try to hand him back his phone. I'm like, hi babe, here's your phone. He says, I'm not getting that phone. No. I'm like, why not? He's like, you reek of sex. Where have you been? I'm like, wait, that sound they have got in movies where they go like rewind. I'm like, you're the one at fault here.
Yeah.
How am I at fault? So, like I said, I'm not in any medical field, guys. I don't have any medical knowledge, or even psychological knowledge. But I think he was a narcissist, because quickly the whole chat became a problem on me. I became at fault under a second. It was already like the whole tables were turned and I was the one at fault, actually supposed to apologize. Why would you just leave? We had a good day. Why? And I went through your phone and I want us to talk about it. Already at this point, I'm about to break down and cry. He says, you ruined a good day. Why on this day would you choose to go through my phone? I'm like, we're supposed to address the matter at hand here, and you're worried about me ruining a good day? Really? So I get out of the car. Mind you, when we're having this chat, he's standing, I'm seated in the car, and the door's opening. So when I get out of the car, I'm like, this is just messed up. I'm done. He says, you said you're what? This relationship, we're going to get out of it with both of us dead. When I think of the weight of those words now, it's crazy. I shouldn't have normalized that. I shouldn't have stayed at all. I should have ran away, because what?
Yeah.
You don't loosely say those words unless you've got intentions of killing somebody or causing any harm. So he then says, so you can't leave. And I look back, I'm like, I am done. I've stood by a lot. Like I said, guys, I'm just giving you highlights, but obviously in between there's been a lot going on, right? So, you know, when you're in a fight and somebody slaps you, I think it's easier to prepare for that slap. And like in that particular moment, we're having a chat, and I know you're at fault, and you know what I saw in your phone and listened through and read through. And then he just slapped me.
Just like that.
That slap, just like that. That slap, like I said, I was not at all prepared for it. I went. It got dark, and I was just on the floor. Right, we're outside of the house. So outside of the house, then the brother comes running. He's like, "Why are you beating her up? What happened?" You know. And now that when I look back, he was probably high. So he had no account of what exactly was happening. And obviously maybe he was hallucinating. And when we were having a normal chat, he's hearing things of his own, right? So when the brother comes in to try and break off whatever has happened, because I'm now on the ground and I'm shocked. My eyes and my facial expressions are shocked. Because I'm the girl who used to say, let a man try and lay hands on me, guys. Let a man try. Oh, a man tried. And what did your girl do?
Yeah.
I was just shocked.
You didn't even see it coming, for starters. You didn't even see it coming.
I didn't. You know? So I'm just on the ground, and now I'm looking at him like, my whole world, you're the person who makes my world feel better. And this is what we've amounted to, you know? And I'm looking at him with very accusing eyes, and I want to cry because I'm like, what is happening? Right? So the brother comes in running. He's like, what is happening? What is happening? He doesn't even respond to the brother, just starts attacking him, starts beating him up. It's so rough that the brother starts bleeding. He's buff. His build is so buff. Like I said, he's got a small nyanam cover, and his build is a bit buff. So obviously the brother is a bit smaller and skinnier and taller. You know, he gets beat up so quick and now is bleeding and stops breathing.
Oh.
I crawl to his side. I'm like, can you please stop? And I'm now taking a bit of blows from him because he's just, you know, he's just throwing fists.
He's out of control.
Anyone.
Yeah.
He's out of control. So people in the neighborhood are starting to gather, and a few of them, because now I think we're making a lot of noise. No. People gathered not because of the fight, because they couldn't hear that. How they gathered was he starts taking stones, rather not stones, bricks. Yeah. There were bricks that had been set up to decorate, I think, one of the trees that were closer to the gate. So he takes one of them, starts throwing them at the cars. He's like, you think I care about those cars? You think I care about those cars? No one fucking leaves my life. No one fucking leaves my life. This is my girlfriend till death do us apart. You're my brother. Are you fucking her? Why would you come to her defense? Da, 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 da. You know, saying a lot of things. Yeah. And so people, I think, started coming out of their houses because now the car alarms were going off. Right. So when they come, now people are at the gate, but the gate is locked. And people are like, no, let us in. Like, what's going on? You guys can talk about it. What's going on? And he's out of control. He's just throwing the bricks, you know, anything. Luckily, we were on the ground, because maybe if we're standing, accidentally any brick would have got, you know, to our heads or whatever. So now the brother then, you know, regains consciousness. And I'm like, thank God. So I crawl to the gate and I slide the gate open. And then one person gets in. They quickly take the brother out of that. And then he comes and this other older guy comes and then, you know, holds him off and whatever. But anyway, guys, the gist of the story is I still stayed.
Even through that.
Because again, I had his side of the story and he apologized about the whole cheating thingy and whatever. So this is when another truth that I should also have run away from came about, but I still stayed. So in this whole apologizing thing, he then says, "But babe, there's something that I haven't been truthful with you about, and I think it's time that I tell you where this whole tantrums and this whole episodes do come from. It's not just the drugs that I'm taking. What's it called? The cocaine that I'm taking. It's also because of things that I'm dealing with that you don't know about." I'm like, yeah, shoot. What is it? Because at this point, I'm trying to understand why you do what you do. You know, why would you cheat like that? Then he says, okay, some of the women that you saw me talking to are not just any women. They're my baby mamas.
What?
It's not just baby mama. There's a Z to it.
How many and how many were we talking here?
4.
Hey, bana.
So it's 4 women, 4 keys.
Yay.
And you'd think that any person would be like, I'm not staying for it. But your girl stayed. Because, again, there's an understanding to it. There was a story to it. He then said, oh, my first, I had her when I was 17. So, so I thought, okay, that makes sense with your age. And, when it happened, I started feeling bad for him and I stayed.
So you stayed because you felt bad for someone?
Sort of. I felt like, who am I to judge?
So how did you feel about all the cheating and the baby mamas and the kids?
Okay, so I feel like, after you find out that somebody has been through what they've been through, their baby mamas to it, there's cheating to it, the level of understanding and relationship that you have towards them sort of now changes. It was starting to open up insecurities within me. Because now, even on a genuine call that he'd be having, work related, I'll jump up on my feet. I'm thinking it's another woman. It takes too long sorry guys. So apparently, like I said, where I was staying at the time, I could come and go back at will, right? So eventually me and this guy, we're actually sort of living in together.
Ikas.
It started off as I'm just there for the weekend, and then a week, and then 2 weeks, and then it's a whole month you haven't been back home.
So what was your situation? Did you live with your friends, with your family? What was your arrangement before this?
It was with family, but that family who don't really then, question what exactly you're doing with who and what. It was flexible. It was just three girls living in a house, but we're all family. So it was just a matter of accounting. I'm going to see more guy. I'm at more guy's house.
Oh, right. I see.
Yeah. It wasn't any drama. And at this point, they were more comfortable with me being at more guy's house because he had been causing a bit of drama at the house. He was jumping over the gate. He was doing all sorts. Yeah. So I think me being there was a bit better. So of course now the kids are involved and I've got to meet the kids. Now I'm creating a relationship with those kids. When they come over for their 2 week what, I have to see them.
Which ones? The 4 of them?
The four of them.
And you're building relationships with each and every one of these?
Each and every one of them.
Okay, did you want to have children?
I instantly became a mom.
Did you want to have children before all of this?
I do. Okay. I've always wanted to have kids, and I don't think I have a problem taking care of another woman's kid because I wasn't raised by my own mother. Do you get me? So it's something that I've had like a chat with myself to say, I can take care of a woman's child as my own. But it got too much to the sense that this is not only one child. These are 4 kids, 4 different baby mamas, different characters, different energy, different drama. So, and I'm too young to capacity. What's it called? To take in capacity for all of that. But there was a lot going on, and he got to a point where he's in the streets now. So these kids would come over, and I'll stay behind with the kids. And then he started saying, oh, like in his controlling era, he then would say, I don't like you going out a lot because we bump into your exes that I know of, and it gets a bit awkward. So I'd rather you stay behind with the kids. So I became a mom. I became a nanny of some sort because it was giving him leeway to do as he wishes when I'd stay home. So yeah, these were the cheating escapades, and There was a lot. There was a lot. I think the other one was with a friend of mine from work. They started talking at some point, and I don't know the extent of their relationship, but I was just trying to highlight the cheating that was in it. Right. hmm So, the other part that I want to sort of like talk about was the idea of getting vulnerable with him. I think now that I know better, it's important to ease into how much you share of your own personal experiences and self when getting to know someone. Because I was quick on it. I quickly told him my pain, my childhood traumas, and all of that. So much that everything, why all this was happening the way it happened, was because he had a hold over my head.
And
And
and he had this hold. How? What is it about this guy that you what was so intensely into? I know this is a common
okay.
question that I ask,
So,
but
yeah, true, true,
mm,
true. So when you get vulnerable with somebody, people see you like outside. People see you. Okay, I think there's something that I read recently which said it's like how people see stars. They're so far away, but nobody really understands the true nature of them.
mm,
You know. So when you then open up and you're naked, naked, not in figurative speech. When you're naked, for somebody and you've shown them your true self outside of what the public knows, there's there is now they have the entirety of me.
mm,
So it's like you're giving them the power to hurt you by knowing certain things that nobody else knows.
yeah, yeah,
So once there's such an arrangement, it's that person knows how to heal you in some sense.
mm,
Because when this relationship was good, it was really good. It was really good because he fed into my soul. Do you get me?
mm-hmm,
That's how deep it got. So much that every time that we had an altercation or one of those episodes that don't sit well with me, whether it's cheating, whether it's fighting, because now it was physical, whether it's fighting, whether it's cheating, I always held on to, I know this person can be good to me. It's going to get better.
mm,
But only I didn't realize that it was eating off of me and I was losing parts of me
yeah,
that were valuable to me. And I
mm-hmm,
can't get them anymore
mm-hmm,
because it becomes so difficult even when you try to move into another relationship.
mm-hmm,
I always have to come in and tell, and either I'm very defensive just from the onset of the relationship. I'm like, I know what I'm expecting. I know because I've been through this. I know this and that and that.
mm-hmm,
Or I'm also trying to find redemption in the new relationship to say, because I went through that and allowed certain things to happen to me, forgive me for those things that happened when you're not even there.
right.
Yeah. Anyways, the last piece of it, I know the story was all over, but I hope people who could take notes from it could take notes from it. Because for me to really go into the details, it'll take us a week of
Yeah, of course.
chatting.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So the last piece of it, probably people would want to understand how I got out of it.
Mm,
Um, I am a Christian.
right.
Not just a churchgoer. I have a personal relationship with God. Obviously, it gets messed up here and there, but I do understand God from a personal level. And in that moment, in the weakest parts of my life, because remember, like I said, it became a bit life threatening because he always used to pose those things where he'd say, "We're it's going to end when we're both dead. It's going to end when we're both dead." And it was his anthem. Hey, I got so used to hearing it, it didn't hold the certain weight it's supposed to hold. So how I got out of it, and I know this might sound very cliche, and I'm just saying, Jay, but I really truly prayed out of it.
Mm-hmm,
I went on my knees and I said, God, within my power, I can't get out of it. This is beyond me. This is more spiritual than I thought it was physical. I can't. You've got to get into this relationship and fight this battle for me. And how we broke up was so mutual and so quiet.
mm,
It's done, it's done. And then after breaking up, I made sure that I lost contact with every person that connected us. His friends that I used to talk to, his mom that I used to talk to. Oh, he had bad mommy issues. The mom was a lot. Um, Anyone that I used to talk to, I had to let go. And it was
mm.
so painful. Remember, I've built a relationship with the kids
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and not
Oh,
just drastically letting go. they were so used to where there's a mom and dad relationship in their lives. And I resonated so well with those kids because they reminded me of a part of my childhood.
You see, the way you say that makes me feel like all the four women had absent dads slash fathers.
Mm-hmm.
They did?
Mm-hmm. They did.
Mm.
They did. So those kids were,
I've just thought about that as I said that because the common denominator was Mugai, and he obviously wasn't present. But I think what I meant, but I think what I meant to say with that is that there were no follow-on men beyond Mugai who were stepping up, because you just describe it as a two-parent household because of Mugai and you.
Yeah. There weren't any. And if they were ins and out. They weren't constant men who, where you get to call them a dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was always maybe mommy is dating this guy, and then the next week it's Uncle Jay, the next week it's Uncle Tom, whatever. So when they did come to Mogai's house and I'm there and we're together, because I started having routines with them. So I'll try and have a family vibe where weekends, Saturdays, it'll be like we're indoors, we're watching a movie, the kids choose the movie, we do popcorn. I started allowing Mogai. I actually started allowing him to create a relationship with his own kids, because I'd say you need to know them on an individual level. They're different, right? Because of different DNA makeup to start off with, and just people are generally different. So he started even building a relationship with the kids. I started trying to make sure, because he's got money, but he wasn't functional with it. I started trying to make sure that they enrolled in better schools. I was doing a lot of wifey thing. So when people do ask me, I do sometimes tell them that I am a divorcee.
I
was married.
Yeah,
what do you call it? I was married.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Fact of the matter, I was married to this guy. No lobola, no what, but you know what? It's, apparently I think there's a law that now says if you stay with somebody for over 3 months, you're not married. I guess that applied then to us.
Right.
Because, functionally we were functioning as husband and wife. And with the family was complete already. There were kids. You couldn't even start thinking about me having a child of my own. Because there were kids already to complete that relationship. So me getting out of it, I prayed out of it, and I made sure that I cut all connections. And that is just about it. I think that's the bit that I'm going to shed light on it. And me narrating the story, guys, obviously healing doesn't happen it's 3 years ago, and I still talk about it and still really it. And the images and the emotions are still vivid in my mind. I still feel them. It's one moment I'm okay, the next I'm a mess and whatever. Like I said, also has been affecting my relationships now. So every chance I get to talk to people, even through your platform, thank you for this opportunity. It's for people to, like I said, the fundamentals are important. If you know what you are willing to go through and what you're not willing to go through. When you can separate those two, it's easier to identify people worth suffering for or people worth being with.
You see, the one thing that I'm very curious about, because of all the things that made you stay, what are your 3 top deal breakers now? Because you hung around for a lot when you had a lot of stuff going on. Infidelity wasn't a deal breaker. Dealing with more than just one other parent and children wasn't a deal breaker. And the lies weren't a deal breaker. And associations with friends that aren't good and the substance abuse wasn't a deal breaker. But what are your 3 top deal breakers now?
All righty. So maybe I can't come up with the deal breakers per se, but what I have now is I've got values.
What are your top 3 values now?
My top 3, I'm just going to say 1 because it has a whole lot of things feeding into it. It's communication. It's communication. And this communication builds over respect, transparency, accountability. Those 3.
I like that a lot.
Yeah. So because I have these values, when somebody comes into my life right now and does not present those characteristics or those values, or we don't share those common values, there are no negotiations.
Transparency is a bit of a funny one because it was transparent as far as the phones were concerned, right? Just said that let's go through each other's phones initially. So that was a measure of transparency, but
No. Not that kind of transparency.
What kind?
It's transparency in the sense that you are true to self as you're true to the next person. Not the physical bits of it, to be honest. I'm never going through anyone's phone again, guys. That's a lesson learned. No matter how much I trust the person, don't go through people's phones. It's just to say, if he was comfortable in his own persona, he would have been able to respect me. That's the transparency I mean.
Right.
So it's when you've got a certain value, when you've got a certain position and a certain consciousness of self or who you are, you can easily transcend that into the next person. That's the transparency I mean.
Gotcha.
And that then feeds into respect. You can only respect people as much as you're respected. And then that feeds into, like I said, communication with a broader term into it, to say how you even talk to me, how you make sure I don't find things. You know, our dads way back, okay, let me just say my dad, when he passed on, I remember on his funeral, when they've got this traditional thing where someone has to stand up and say, oh, the kids they were born to so and so, please do stand up. You know, I thought I was the only one who's supposed to stand up, but surprisingly to me, there were a whole lot of people, older and younger, some darker than me, some colored. There were a lot of people who were kids to my dad. Right? So you see there's a pattern also. You know that saying where they tell you that you marry your father?
Oh,
You guys have to consciously pray about that and break that cycle, because you can easily fall into the trap of, I truly believe people who say people who've got daddy issues are more likely to do sugar daddy stuff, you know, date older men and what, all that business. It can happen subconsciously, because how I was leaning onto this guy, maybe it was I was also looking for a father in him because of lack of thereon.
Yeah.
You know, and the father that I was looking for, unfortunately, came as my dad in character even. You see? Yeah. So it's respect and communication, in the sense that even when you're cheating, like I said, you can never ever trust somebody 100% and think, oh yeah, this one is convicted into Christ in this way, and they probably can. Everyone is capable of. It's only that conviction that can pull them back away from it. But let's say it happens. I think it's important for somebody who tries so hard to make sure you never find out, and the truth is only revealed on their deathbed, or rather when they're being buried.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Ish.
Yeah. But these days, guys just go, you know, to the next block and you already know what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my story. That is my story. And like I said, it's still, the healing continues. I'm better. Of course, I'm better.
You do sound it.
Better.
You do sound it a lot. And you know, just like that lesson that you said, that healing begins when you accept it. You know, you've accepted what happened.
Yeah.
But then because you also mentioned that one of the three things that really mattered to you, all encompassed in communication, is accountability. So unfortunately, Mugai is not here to talk about things that he needed to be accountable for. But I think you got some things to be accountable for.
True. I do.
Have you thought about those? What do you feel you were responsible for as far as everything went, if anything at all? Is there anything you feel you need to be accountable to and for?
I do. I do. Before I answer, just to say, there's a saying that also says you attract who you are.
Yeah.
So I think that moment when I was with him, there were parts of me that reflected his character and his being as a whole. So it's not like we were foreign to each other. There were things that we both did in our own individual capacity that were attractive to each other, even in their bad. You know? So what I think I would have done differently is to stand my ground, to not allow certain things to continuously happen. I
Yeah.
should have been self-aware of my own self. I should have been more vocal to say, I'm not going to tolerate this and not tolerate it at all. I should have been more skeptical and open my eyes, Jay. I should have opened my eyes to see that, these things are not things that I'm willing to sacrifice my being for, and I shouldn't have. I feel like I participated in him doing certain things because it's when you imagine you're a kid, ne? You still sugar. The first day, obviously, you're just going to have a spoonful. And if you're not grounded or scolded for it, the next day you go on to 2 and 3 and 4. And that was exactly what was happening. But the problem is not with the person who's stealing. The person is also lying with the person who's not scolding or grounding that person, or rather disciplining that person. I allowed him to do things to me. I allowed what happened to me to happen. So I think that's my accountability to it, to say, all that happened, I should have said no to certain things, and no without an explanation, no without a reason, just to say, I'm not going to let this happen to me. You have cheated, and I found out, and the context of this cheating is like this, like this, like this. You're leaving, I'm leaving. This is it. For me, it was cycles of, I'm sorry, babe, I won't do it again, and don't, then I'll be back. He does it again. I'd always forgive him, and he would go on to do more and more at a larger scale. So I allowed it. That's my accountability.
Yeah.
I suffered for something that I allowed to happen.
Yeah.
I started my own fire and I got burnt.
Ish. I like that. Started your fire and you got burnt. Hey, thanks for that, Adele. Honestly, I'll just play back your lessons, which I think are really, really deep. First one up is how he allows his friends to treat him will impact how he treats you. And I guess, just from the friendship circle that you described, it was fairly clear what was going on because, at that flat, they had a lot of people just coming in and doing whatever they wanted, right? With whoever and at whatever time. And then next up, number 2, you say be consciously aware of your boundaries, what you can and what you can't compromise on. I think this for me is one of the most significant ones that came out of this story, because if you had drawn a boundary, say at the fact that you'd never been to his house beside the flat, that's 1. And 2, his constant disappearing acts. You could have had an opportunity there. Number 3, when you bumped into one woman in the picture was number 3. Number 4, the baby mamas and the kids. I think there were various checkpoints that those boundaries could have been set and drawn. But, at least now you have the opportunity to get those defined, right? Because that's what this is all about. It's about the things you learned. And if this is happening to someone right now, you have the opportunity of getting that fixed too.
Yeah.
Number 3, if he calls his ex crazy, you're about to be the next crazy. Yeah.
I surely became the crazy one.
Yep, I've been called crazy before, and I'm sure it won't be the last. Because that rhetoric it self-perpetuates. Number 4, listen to your instincts. That's God trying to protect you, and the flags don't get. The flags only get redder. They don't turn colorblind. Don't be colorblind. This speaks for itself, doesn't it?
It does.
And then number 5, find one that complements you, not the one that completes you. It took me a little while to get around this, but then I get exactly what you mean now. Because if you guys are not moving in the same direction and pretty much moving like a crutch, the crutch is supporting the leg to move in the same direction. If that is not happening, then hey, perhaps let it go. Because then you don't have somebody to hold on to and to lean on and to get you to where you really need to be. And it didn't feel like this is what was happening with Mugai at all. Next up, when you leave, don't turn back, run. I think this ties in very, very, very well with the one about boundaries. Because if you've drawn a boundary, you've seen something that you like, do not turn back.
Do not.
Because
understand it. Don't try and understand.
Yeah, don't try and understand it. And also, I think it also then leans into number 1, where you're talking about some people are born out of trauma. So if you're trying to understand something that was not your portion to understand anyway, all you're doing is opening up a can of worms for something that could suck you deeper into something that you don't need to be in. A common thing that I always hear is never argue with a fool, because he will drag you down to his level and beat you with experience.
True.
Right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So if you're running back to something you shouldn't be running back, you're going to be in the territory of experts in that space who are really just going to mess up things for you. So thanks for that. I really like that lesson. And then the last one is, it's not all roses, just as it is not all bad. When it's over, be at peace with how events turned out, and don't speak ill of your ex. You just weren't for him or her in this case, in this instance for others, as he or she wasn't for you. Healing begins when you accept it happened. And I hope that's what a lot of people will take out of this as they're coping with all manner of difficulty and disappointment right now. Just accept that it happened, embrace it, and try and formulate a way to move forward.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Adil, for sharing this. And you guys have been listening to another episode of The Feeling Station. I'm your host, Tinto, and I look forward to catching you next weekend's episode. Peace.
Tell me what you're feeling. Tell me what you're feeling. Now that it's over. Let me talk about my feelings. Let me talk about my feelings, yeah.
Urudoi motoru no to kujidziro amai.
Kujidziro amai. Love is a fire.
Urudoi motoru no to kujidziro amai.